A lot of people have talked to me, have tried to email me and text me asking of how they would be able to come to Australia. Um, and the question has been, is it really worth it in 2025? In this series, we shall be discussing about what it takes and whether it's really worth it for you to come down under, as they call Australia. So let's do this. So other than the euphoria of generally people wanting to migrate to another country, kwenda majuu, as we call it, this decision to move to another country is really an economic, financial decision that you need to sit down and evaluate a few things. I appreciate that everybody's life is different, your circumstances are different, and you need to take into consideration all these factors before you finally make a decision to move to any other country, let alone Australia. So, what makes most people come to Australia? That's the question. So, Australia has been known for a lot of demand when it comes to healthcare, tradesmen, doctors, and other professionals. Since 2022, when pretty much the pandemic ended, Australia's economy has been one of the economies that have really bounced back well. And it's worth taking the chance, taking the advantage of the current situation in Australia. But again, depends on what you think. So the job market in Australia is really robust. There is varying jobs from health, that is aged care and disability. There is lots of jobs in construction. There is lots of jobs in IT. Pretty much as you would reckon, every other industry is well represented in Australia. But when you're moving to Australia, the first thing that you need to consider is your qualification for visa. A lot of people have found themselves coming with a student's visa, which is pretty much the easiest option out there. There are some people that earlier or even presently come through skilled independent visas when there is really special skills that's needed and Australia cannot be able to source for the same skills locally. So they will end up inviting someone, but certainly it depends on um, the relationship between Australia and the country of origin and many other factors, the economic factors of an individual, the likelihood that the individual will be able to come work and then travel back to their country, or if they will be pretty much, as you would call it, a burden to the Australian economy. So these are some of the things that you need to look out for. I remember a very a very funny story. I used to listen to Maina and Kingang in the morning, Classic 105, while driving to work, or rather in a matatu while going to work. And one morning they were like, there was this story that Maina was trying to ask, no, Kingangi was trying to ask Maina rather, about what job he used to do in the US. And he was like, um, he made a joke of like stating that Maina used to work in an aged care facility whereby he used to help elderly people with their ADLs, and Kingangi was like, Maina, nikune hapo, scratch me there, darling, and pretty much. You might take it as a joke, but most of the people that head this way end up working in these environments. These are the jobs that are most common, that are taken up by international or by immigrants, rather, as I would call them. Um, they pay well. They are very respectable jobs here. But depending on where you come from, there's always that stigma that you feel This is not what I was looking up to, but those are the first things that hit you, some of the culture shocks that you come by when you're trying to settle in. But of course, because you're here and there's bills and everything to be paid, you just find yourself moving along pretty much. So you come with your master's degree sometimes, you come with your whatever it is, the qualifications you have. But the first jobs that you start doing is you find yourself in cleaning, you find yourself in working in in a disability center, working in aged care, working in, and then you work your way up. Of course, one other factor that really one needs to consider is the fact that your qualifications are not likely to be automatically accepted and admitted in Australia. So you whatever your qualifications are, you would need to convert the same to Australian standards, which sometimes, depending on what you've done, can be a tedious process or can actually be not admissible at all. So you need to do a lot of research before you head this way. You need to pretty much get your ducks in a row, just know exactly what you're coming into or what you're signing up to. It's a process that will really take a long period of time. Some people will last for as long as 8 years, 10 years, 5 years before finally getting their permanent residency. And through all that, you're working around through visas. However, the good thing with Australia is so long as you have a good standing, which I'll explain what good standing is later on, you're able to get visas to keep you going. But it is an expensive affair. So, continuing on our series, let's talk a little bit about culture. What are you likely to find when you come to Australia or if you go to Australia? One thing you're really, really likely to find is in back in Kenya, a lot of people are used to doing, getting someone to do small jobs for you, like if you know what I mean, like mowing your lawn. You expect somebody else to clean your car, you expect someone to iron your clothes, you expect somebody to cook for you, you expect someone to drop your kids to school, you have a driver. And that's the kind of lifestyle that middle class is used to. Well, here's the shocker. You come here, and the first thing that you have to do is you realize that you are the one to pretty much do everything for yourself, right? So, yes, you could employ someone, but what you're looking at is if you're employing anybody, there is minimum wage rates that's set by the government that legally you cannot hire anybody for less than the amount that's stipulated. So you're looking at a well over, let's say, let's give it around $20 for per hour for any other job that you're hiring anybody to do in Australia. So if, say for example, you are when if you're going to work and you're getting paid say around $40 and you're hiring someone to do basic things for you and you're paying them $20, really you look at it and it doesn't make sense at all because you'll actually be running at a loss because you're paying house rent, you're keeping these people happy, you're doing all these kind of things. So it doesn't make sense. So what do? You end up having to do everything for yourself. So from you wake up in the morning, and this mostly happens for couples that's married. If you've come with your partner, it's you're a bit lucky. But pretty much you find that one of you will have to either one of you will sacrifice work or then you will have to work alternate shifts. Like one of you works in the morning, as in during the day, the other one works at night. So that every other time there's someone to stay with the kids. And guess what? You legally you cannot leave kids that are 13 years or less by themselves. And even after 13 years, you're supposed to prove that there's adequate security around those kids and you're not just leaving them to their own means. So, pretty much, you should be around your kids throughout their lives. And at the same time, you're required to work. At the same time, you're meant to cook for them. You're also meant to iron their clothes, make sure they're presentable. You've got to attend to their school events. You've got to drop them off to activities after school. So pretty much you find that for wale kwanza wazee wenye mmezoea kamnyweso, after some time ati ukimaliza job you go and sit down somewhere and you mkutane kama wazee, it's never that. Yeah, in fact it's so difficult to find anybody that you can be able to sit around with and just maybe for a chat or something like that, because everybody is busy, especially family people are very busy. So when you see someone coming back home spend their good time, please give them that peace that they require. It's tough around here. So what other thing do we expect to see? In Kenya, you expect that when you're living in a neighborhood, like you have your own house, your own gate, I don't know, you're living in a certain way. There's these good posh suburbs. Here everybody is intermingled. As in, your house is as big as say a um 50 by yes. So it's a pretty small area, and then houses are just built adjacent to each other. So pretty much there's no much privacy. And then I'll shock you with something. Here, as a standard or whatever it is, you find that there is no privacy in your rooms. I think because of probably maybe societal issues that have been, you pretty much you find most of your houses do not have internal locks. So you can't like lock yourself in your, as in it's a very minor, yeah, kind of thing, if you know what I mean. Yeah. Um then let's come to the foods. Man, you come, you taste everything here, and it tastes totally different. It's not what we used to. So you take a bit of time to before you settle, and you are able to appreciate the meals here. And actually, up to up to today, I just have a few meals that I'm comfortable having. Otherwise, when we get the time to make our traditional ugali and such, that's when we really enjoy it. But all in all, life is not too bad. Looking at the dollar now, so you find a lot of people get so much excited when they hear that you're paid per hour. Your payments are done every fortnightly. Fortnightly, that means every 2 weeks. There are some jobs that you do, you're paid every weekly. But our bills as well are paid weekly. So, like, you pay your house rent every week. You pay almost all your bills every week. There is a couple other bills like insurances and such that you pay every month. But the main bill that you pay is your house rent, and you pay it every week or every fortnight, but calculated every week. So yeah, and then you look at how much you're earning. people People have this misconception of thinking whatever it is you're earning is so much, because for example, if someone told you that he earns $40 or $45 or whatever it is, you're converting that immediately and finding, oh, they earn 4,000 in an hour. That's a lot of money. But one thing these people have not told you is how much they have to pay out of this, because um relative to what we pay in Kenya, the amount you pay here for the same kind of products is so much more. So either way, yes, there is something that you're left with, but it all depends on also what your expenditure looks like. So if your expenditure is not too much, then you're able to save a little bit. But if your expenditure is so much more, then also you don't save much. But you generally find that when you're a student, you tend to probably save more because then you don't know a lot of things. You don't know a lot of joints. You don't know you don't have a lot of choices to things like when we were new, we could not go to say McDonald's. We didn't see anything good with it. We didn't see anything good with these are the things that Aussies or Australians eat. For us, we was stuck to basics like it's meat, minced meat, probably just chicken, as you would make it. But nowadays, with kids, they get you to learn a few things, and then you continue. So life becomes more expensive as you go. Yep. So someone asks about the downsides of living in Australia. Downsides, yeah, it depends on how you look at them. First, you're very, very far from your family throughout. You won't believe it how much homesick people feel because you're detached from your family. So you're living two lives. You're thinking of your life here because probably your kids are here and everybody else is here. But then your family, the people you've grown up with, the people you work with, the people you knew when you were younger, they're back in Kenya. So pretty much there is that. You feel sense of loss, but yeah. Another downside is the fact that it's quite expensive. You don't just come and then become a citizen the following day. So you first start probably as a student. You have a couple of visas, renewals, and all that, and then by the end of the day, you become a permanent resident, and later on a citizen. It takes a very long time. It's also quite expensive. Then the other downside is the fact that uh, that change, the laws. In Australia, you're not likely to find a policeman coming to harass you. It doesn't happen often unless really you are an aggressive criminal. But the system catches up with you slowly. Like you're driving, you're over speeding, you get a ticket. Depending on how much higher your speed is, you could get a few demerit points. They are called demerit points here. Like you lose your points. So in a year, like you within any span of 1 year, 12 months, you've got like 12 demerit points. If you happen to lose all your demerit points, then your car pretty much gets impounded. So then you lose your license. Your license gets suspended for some time because it shows that you're not a safe driver, if you know what I mean. And that catches up with you because all that you do is if you, for example, go and speed past a red light, no one chases you really. You just get a letter, a mail in your mailbox telling you, look, on this certain day, this is the photo, this is what happened. You went past a red light, and this is the much you're supposed to pay to the government, and these are the demerit points that have been deducted off your driver's license. And then if you continue doing that for a certain period of time, of course, as I said, you end up losing your license. So before you know the laws, it could take a toll on you. You could find yourself on the wrong side of the law very many times. We are used to party life. We are used to a sneaky kind of life whereby maybe you've had a few, then you think, okay, well, I'll dash off. I'll just get home, I'll drive home. They'll catch up with you here. It's very easy for them to actually catch up with you. Again, your neighbors, your friends, they're really likely to report you if they think you're being unsafe. Your children can report you from school during the interactions. They could just go and say, well, dad's been beating us pretty much, and that's not allowed here. As in Kenya, you can spank kids, you can whip them, you can well, things have moved on nowadays. I believe we are at a point whereby we are not using corporal punishment anymore. But that said, if you try it here, you're likely to find yourself actually in jail. You're likely to find your kids being separated from you. So pretty much, yes, there's lots of things, lots of challenges. Again, you require some good amount of money for you to set yourself up, and that takes a long while. Some people feel like they made a wrong choice, but ultimately it comes to pay. The other side that people do not look at so much is the fact that the system here is quite good actually, because social security is good. People are able, like the elderly are well looked after. The disabled, the people living with disability are also looked very well after. I should say, especially being in a health sector environment. Also, the fact that you in Kenya, most of the people have they want to accumulate money just because they want to assure a future for their children and their grandchildren. But in Australia, pretty much you take your kids to school and you lay a good foundation for them. You are sure that if they work hard, then they are going to get a job. They are going to thrive if they are well focused. But the problem also they comes with some laxity just because somebody knows life will be easy. But for parents that have come, especially when you come at a later stage in your life, you find that settling is becomes a challenge, because then you require to cover a lot of what other people have done since they were younger, because people start working here from the time they are pretty much 14 years of age. You could find somebody working in McDonald's or somewhere else. So if someone started working then and then you've come and started working when you're 40, pretty much you can see the difference. So before you are able to cover the part of life that you lost, it takes a while. But all in all, I leave it to you to make the judgment of, is this worth it for you? So the question is back to you. Now you have the information. I would say in closure that if you're planning, or if you plan to travel, you can reach out to us. We can direct you to various immigration companies, immigration institutions that we believe will serve you the best. There is also importance that it's good that you start with an immigration agent from the word go. Some people will do things on themselves, but there's a few mistakes that are overlooked when you do certain things by yourself. I will be doing another video just explaining the procedure of preparing for visa application and such. Look out for that. And if this seems like the kind of information that you would love to keep hearing and to keep discussing, this is the group for you. Come join us, hit the notification bell, subscribe, and let's see you in the next video. Thank you.